expression seemed off. It didn't sit right. This wasn't the confident, ever-inquisitive theoretical physicist who was accustomed to appearing on television screens, casually unraveling the mysteries of the cosmos. This time, he hesitated. His voice cracked. He focused too long on one thing, the image in front of him. And when he finally spoke, the room full of elite space journalists, scientists, and historians froze in absolute silence. The presentation was supposed to explore new data from lunar observation satellites. However, what transpired shocked the scientific community as a whole and beyond. This was not simply data. It was a cosmic apology. Something hiding beneath the moon's surface had just changed everything we thought we knew. And by the time this video was over, you too would understand why Michio Kaku could no longer hold back his tears. Because what they found beneath the surface of the moon wasn't natural. Kaku began with a revelation that dismantled decades of consensus. Utilizing newly deployed quantum deep researchers, satellites scanned the technological subsurface of the moon more advanced than anything previously attempted. Instead of solid rock, they found massive hollow chambers, some spanning hundreds of kilometers, arranged in symmetrical patterns no natural process could explain. These voids weren't ancient lava tubes or accidental pockets of air. They had structure, regularity, alignment. They had intent. And when thermal readings revealed localized heat sources pulsing from within these voids, temperatures to precise, to focused, to be geological, the entire room felt the weight of something unspeakable. The moon's interior was not only designed, it was still alive in some way. Whether a machine, reactor, or monument, Kaku didn't say. He didn't need to. The data spoke for itself. The patterns followed gravitational anomalies that had always been dismissed as minor oddities or inconsistencies in measurement. But mapped in high definition, they formed a global grid, crisscrossing from pole to pole, aligning perfectly with the cavities within. Radar reflected metallic regions. This was not randomness. It was engineering. Kaku displayed gravitational maps from 3 independent agencies showing this lunar lattice, a skeleton invisible to the naked eye, bolstering the moon's position with disturbing precision. If this grid was functional, if it still had power, then the moon might be maintaining more than just its own orbit. It could be influencing Earth, its tidal effects, its axis stability, perhaps even more. The moon, as Kaku hinted, might not just be a satellite but a regulator. And if it was constructed or placed, then we must ask by whom and for what purpose. As he moved from science to mythology, the tone of Kaku's voice became more solemn. He showed depictions from Sumerian tablets, Egyptian texts, the Maya, and cultures across the globe that referenced the moon not as an ever-present object, but as an arrival, a newcomer, even a teacher. He quoted stories of nights without the moon and of sky gods descending from it. Until now, we had seen these as poetic metaphor. But layered over the lunar data, the old myths began to feel like warnings, like fragmented memory preserved in symbolism. Even eclipses of the moon, once assumed to be astronomical coincidence, took on new meaning. The moon's size and distance are so precise that it is able to completely block the sun during an eclipse, a one-of-a-kind phenomenon, either chance or cosmic engineering. The more Kaku revealed, the clearer it became. The moon might not just be influencing Earth's geology. It might have been guiding human consciousness for millennia. The final act was the most chilling. Using high-frequency subsurface radar tomography, scientists identified reflective materials beneath the moon's crust, metals unknown to modern science scattered throughout an array of geometric structures. These materials absorbed and redirected radar waves in unnatural ways. They were not natural ores. They were alloys designed for function. When exposed to simulated virtual stress tests, they behaved like shielding, like casing meant to endure time, impact, and pressure. Kaku suggested, without fully claiming, that we might be looking at remnants of an ancient machine. Or worse, a dormant system, awaiting activation. Strange seismic echoes, moonquakes recorded since the Apollo missions began to sound less like geological grunts and more like signals reverberations from something internal. The moon wasn't just mysterious anymore. It was responding, and that indicated one thing. There was still something there, listening. One of the eeriest insinuations was that Kaku's revelation was not novel at all. It had been hidden in plain sight for over 50 years. During the Apollo 12 mission, NASA engineers deliberately crashed the Lunar Ascent Stage module into the moon's surface to measure seismic activity. What they recorded was so bizarre that many dismissed it as a technical anomaly. For nearly an hour, the moon rang like a bell. But now, with new understanding of its materials and internal structure, that data resurfaced like a warning long forgotten. Natural rock doesn't resonate like that unless it is empty. Or worse, empty and reinforced. New simulations, conducted with AI-powered models, confirmed this disturbing possibility. Geological models confirmed the only explanations that are logical. Either the moon differs greatly from every other planet we've looked at, or it's not a planetary body at all in the traditional sense. What sets this apart more spine-chilling still is that similar impact events later produced the same bell-like echoes, consistent across multiple Apollo missions. The moon was reacting like a tuned instrument. And now we have to ask who built the instrument and why was it designed to respond in any way to collisions. Kaku then turned his attention to a mystery that had been slowly but surely growing in the scientific underworld for a long time: the moon's strange emissions. Radio astronomers have been detecting low-frequency bursts from the moon's far-side electromagnetic activity unrelated to any known geological or solar interactions. These signals are highly localized, occurring in particular locations and at consistent intervals, as if responding to orbital positions or even lunar phases. When filtered through advanced signal processing algorithms, some of these emissions revealed repeating digital-like patterns, pulses that eerily resembled early computer language. Could it be a forgotten beacon? A long-dormant system? Kaku stopped short of confirming it. However, the presence of these frequency spikes when deep space probes pass behind the moon is no longer seen as coincidence. Whatever lies beneath that dusty surface might not just be a relic. It might be aware and perhaps even aware of us. One of the most mathematically baffling aspects of the moon is its orbit. It's almost as if it were placed with utmost precision. The moon's size and distance allow it to perfectly cover the sun during total eclipses, a phenomenon no other planet in our solar system has. However, that is only the beginning. Kaku uncovered orbital simulations that demonstrate the moon's path is so stable it defies long-term gravitational drift. The majority of the solar system's moons display some wobble, some irregularities over millennia. Ours does not. Stranger still, the speed of the moon's rotation is perfectly synchronized with Earth so that we only ever see one side of it. This tidal locking is presented in textbooks as a coincidence, a result of gravitational forces. But the probability of it happening in such an ideal way, creating a perfectly stable eclipse engine, is astronomically low. It's as if the moon was designed not just to orbit, but to perform, to act, to instruct, or even to monitor. And Michio Kaku, usually the optimist, could no longer call that arrangement natural.
Perhaps the most disturbing part of Kaku's presentation didn't involve scientific data. It had to do with what had been erased. He referenced dozens of original Apollo mission recordings, including telemetry data and high-frequency voice communications from astronauts, that have either gone missing or were inexplicably recorded over. Some of these tapes, according to reports, contained astronaut reactions to unidentified lights, unexplained mechanical sounds beneath the surface, as well as instances when communication was suddenly cut off while orbiting the moon's far side. Whistleblowers from within NASA, some speaking in their final years, have described deliberate omissions, redacted mission reports, and even private briefings where astronauts were told never to speak about what they heard or saw on the moon. Kaku, cautious when making conspiracy claims, admitted that the silence itself had become too loud to ignore. If the moon truly is something else, something far older, far more complex, than those who know the truth are guarding it for a reason. And perhaps that reason is even more terrifying than the truth itself. As Kaku stepped away from the podium, a silence heavier than gravity filled the room. This wasn't the silence of scientific awe. It was the silence that follows a deep realization that something we've stared at our entire lives might not be what we believed. The moon, once a romantic sign of peace, tranquility, and light, now casts much darker shadows. It may not be a natural satellite, it may not be lifeless, and it may not be ours. From its impossible orbit to its hollow echoes, from ancient myths to disappearing NASA tapes, everything we thought we knew is coming apart. And if Michio Kaku, a man of reason in quantum law, breaks down in tears over what the moon actually is, then we ought to pay attention. This isn't just about astronomy anymore. It's about who or what placed the moon there, and why it's watching us. Today, the question remains, what happens next? If we can actually crack the code of the moon, will we awaken something we never intended to discover? Do you believe the moon is natural or something completely different? If you were shaken by this revelation like we were, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the alarm bell. What we reveal in our next video might just change everything you thought you knew about the sky above us. Because sometimes the truth isn't hidden. It's been right above us all along.